Hi, my name is Ali from Massachusetts, and I'm going to be performing Nomad from Virginia. I'm an urban explorer. I find abandoned warehouses, abandoned tunnels, abandoned rooms, abandoned buildings, abandoned mental hospitals. I've been inside the subway trains. Yeah, these are electric-proof boots. Yeah, I've done so much exploration since I've been here. That's my hobby besides the movement I'm here for in New York. And I got to explore so much. I mean, I've been in so many places probably the government doesn't even know about. Like, there's caverns underneath the Hudson River with stalagmites and stalactites. I've never been politically involved before this. My friend just kind of bought me a bus ticket. He's my traveling buddy, and he said, "We're going," and I said, "Okay." And I came here, and on the second day he left because he wanted to start the DC occupation, and I liked it so much here I stayed. The park was still an encampment. It was honestly like talking to 50 professors a day. There were so many brilliant people, and my thoughts were, okay, this is like a door opener. So people with the same agendas can come together and sub-branch and manifest and start their own projects apart from Occupy. You know, like, this was just a door opening stage, and a lot of people's sentiments and agendas are different as to why they're here, but I feel as though our role as a movement is to highlight social injustices that aren't usually covered in the media. Because the media's job is to no longer inform us, it's to manipulate culture with fear. I mean, I haven't even watched TV in 6 years. They own our resources, and us highlighting all these different subjects that aren't usually touched on, and we're changing conversations all around the world. That's what scares them. That's what gives them the threat, you know? And I've seen so much police brutality. On our 6-month anniversary, it was supposed to be a nice day of celebration, and instead I saw so much brutality, but my friend is a medic, and he got his head bashed into a storefront window by a police officer, and his head cracked the glass of the storefront window. Some of them are sadistic fucks. Like, one day I wasn't wearing my pins, and I just looked like a civilian, and I was talking to a lieutenant, and he was saying all this shit to me. This is when the park was still an encampment too. He was saying, "Oh, I wish I was down there at the park bashing skulls, and I wish I was part of the 1%. You know, and I talked about, you know, Philadelphia, the famous Philadelphian cop that got arrested with us. Well, he's famous. He's been in the newspaper, but I talked to him, and he's like, yeah, that type of mentality in the force is just totally unacceptable, you know? Yeah, I was very disheartened by it, because the march was permitted, and I understand that because we have a lot of illegal immigrants on the march that couldn't afford to be arrested. I understand that, but because we had it permitted, they all knew our routes. They all knew what we were gonna do. They had helicopters, they had everything ready for us, you know? Everything was just too planned out for my liking. I wanted it to be a spontaneous action. I mean, I saw this map, it had 54 different direct actions on it, and I was like, okay, this is great. And then I realized later it was all picketing. And I'm like, oh, shit, okay. Now if they're all focusing on that, we can go do the other things apart from the city. Like this is what I had to fuck up security cameras. I went back to Zuccotti after the march and just came down Broadway. I was like, why don't we sit down in the middle of the Broadway? We have 30,000 people. Nobody wanted to sit down, and we walked straight past Zuccotti, and I'm like, why don't we go in there? And then, you know, we went all the way down, got pushed out, and then came back to Zuccotti, and I looked out at the park, and I was like, this is such a drastic change from what it was in the beginning. And all these people just don't look like the motivated people I saw before that were here, that left after the first raid, you know? And what the encampment was to a lot of Americans was capturing the Americans' like middle class, workers, working class like imagination. It captured their imagination, and that's why the support spread so far and fast. Yeah, honestly, like I said, I'm so disheartened by May Day. I'm out of here in the next couple days. I'm just gonna leave the East Coast. Like, I'm going to Chicago, maybe for NATO. But I hear that everyone is gonna get arrested, so I'm kinda worried.